So yeah, thank you so much everyone for joining in. And this is Nikita from Baslo Bharosa. Today's session is about street sexual harassment from legal lens by Anjali Ghosla ma'am. And Anjali ma'am, just a short introduction about her. Anjali ma'am is an advocate and has been practicing in Punjab and Haryana High Court since 2009. And she works in the field of criminal, civil, and arbitration matters, and she has contested more than 500 cases in High Court. So, this is just a short yet very powerful introduction about her. And yeah, about me, I'm Nikita. I'm a campaigner at Baslo Bharosa, and we are advocating for a safer transit infrastructure in Telangana RTC buses. So, about the petition and about our campaign, we'll also invite our team in the end, and we'll speak a couple of things about us. But before that, let's get started. And this session is focused majorly on street sexual harassment from the legal lens. And this is for beginners. I am a beginner myself, and we thought it would make sense for us to ask some general yet simple questions and make people aware of a lot of things which they want to know, but they don't know where to get those from. So here we are with an amazing session. Thank you so much. And this is going to be a Q&A session. We have a couple of questions that we have drafted. And in case you have any questions, just post it there. I'll try to take if we have enough time. Please post it maybe at 6 o'clock or 5:50 because the comments keep flying off. And yeah, so let's get started. Anjali ma'am, anything you want to add before? Oh,
Start with the questions because of them. Can you hear
yeah.
me?
Ma'am?
So,
Ma'am?
I
Yes.
think we should get started with it.
Cool.
Right?
Cool.
Yeah, please.
All right. So the first yet simple question, ma'am, what is street sexual harassment and or what qualifies as a street sexual harassment and how does the law define it?
Yes. So, coming up to the first question, as to a simple one, what is street sexual harassment? So, it's very important to understand one thing, that whatever topic we will be talking about today, in a country like India, we have a gender specific for sexual offences. That is, these are available only to women because women are at the receiving end as compared to the men. I'm not saying
Right.
men aren't, but women are the most one on the receiving end. So it's very important to understand with to begin with that it is going to be only for the gender specific, that is for women. Coming to the question, street sexual harassment, let's bring down to the, the word harassment. What do you mean by harassment? In normal sense, we always use this word very easily. Somebody's harassing me, he's harassing me. But what exactly is a harassment? It is a wide range of behavior actually. It can't be compiled in one. A harassment for me may not be harassment for others. A harassment for others may not be harassment for me. But if we talk about in the general sense, harassment has an element of mental element. Somewhere which hits my psyche, something that hits my mind, something that hits me mentally is what is harassment. So it can be physical, it can be verbal also. Sometimes, the person is staring at me. The person is not touching me. He is not invading my body at all. But those stares is something which is affecting my mind completely. That is harassment. Sexual harassment, we all know, some advances, some unwanted advances towards me to invade my body, to touch me inappropriately, to gulp me, a lot of many of them, we all face it. And every day, every woman around the whether it's going in buses, the one campaign we are talking about, or it is in workplace, everywhere we hear about this. And those little inappropriate touches, we tend to avoid. We tend to ignore, that it's okay, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. So sexual harassment is somebody who's invading my mind and my body together. Street, when we come out of the house, everything belongs to street, whether it is a bus, whether it is a train, whether it is I'm going in a private vehicle of my own, or in those vans with so many other co-workers, colleagues, with my school buses for that matter, a lot of mental. So in total, we talk about when I step out of my house, any kind of invasion of my mind or my body would amount to street sexual harassment. Coming to what law talks about it, where do we find this in our Indian legal system, or where do we find it? To be very honest, we do not have any specific section anywhere which can define these three words, street sexual harassment. We do have definitions of sexual harassments. That also somewhere in 2013, when some unfortunate incidences happened in our country. We all know the 2012 Nirbhaya case that shook the conscience of the entire nation. That it was decided to bring these sections to make rape laws more stringent. That is the first time sexual harassment word came into picture in IPC in section 354A. So it is spread widely over IPC, I would say. I don't say that we don't have laws for sexual harassment. We definitely have. But it's not something which is specifically defining this, the topic that we are talking today. So it's not defining the street sexual harassment. Yes, overall we have, which does cover the topic we are talking today. So going around, if I say it is, vastly spread. So exact section, if we look first, is 354A, where it defines what is sexual harassment as per legal provisions. I'll make it very simple. Somebody tries to make an advance towards me. Somebody tries to have an explicit, sexual remarks to me. Some sexually colored remarks are given. Shows a woman a pornography against her will. These are few of the definitions that is given to us in the name of sexual harassment. Yes, of course, we have again disrobing a woman is there, voyeurism is there, stalking a woman is there. Going around, if you talk about the most important and the beginners of all sections, we say is section 354 of IPC, which talks about outraging the modesty of a woman, which we will be covering in the coming questions also. So this is the widespread of it. And of course, if we go to a higher level of harassments, so I can always add, acid attacks also, which again find its place after a very long time, after a very long battle. It has come in IPC to us. It after a very, very women, and still it is. It's not that the women are safe, but after a very, very long time, after a long battle, we have finally come up with two sections of it, where it is distinction between a normal grievous hurt and an acid attack. And for in general, if you talk about harassment, we do have one of more section where any kind of act or songs or any kind of language which you purposely use in the public places, that is also punishable. But that is not completely only for women. That is in general. That is a general one which comes in it. So legally, it is widespread, but not in a particular section I can talk about it. So that's what sexual harassment in streets, on the streets means, as per legal aspect also and in normal sense also.
Yep, thank you so much. It is a little sad to know that, it still hasn't been a little specific, because street sexual harassment is something, sexual harassment came in 2012 or 2013, as you said. 2013. Yeah, but street sexual harassment, I'm not sure if it's still there yet. It is there, but it is all abstract, not specific.
See, I'll tell you, it is there. It is definitely there. If you take it, it will be dealt under 354A. Like I said, till now, till 2013, acid attack was also considered to be grievous hurt only. It came under grievous hurt only. It's only when that long battle was fought in Honorable Supreme Court that legislature had to put those two sections. So I'm sure the campaign we are working on is going to mark that beginning, of bringing that change and amendments in the legislations to bring that particular sections, as we could do it for acid attacks also. So let's hope for that.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much. We are all in this together.
Yes.
So the next question, ma'am, in the context of street sexual harassment, what is the difference between assault or, violence, harassment and abuse as per the law? Because these are different terms. So just wanted to get a little more clarity on this.
Yes. So I'll start with assault first.
Yes.
Assault, if we take it in the legal aspect, it is the lowest bodily offense actually. We talk about assault as a big one, but if we talk about the legal aspect of it, it is the lowest bodily offense that is available in IPC to us. And then there is a difference of assault of a normal man's language and a legal language. When you talk about, assault, he assaulted me. You always believe he must have beaten her. He must have beaten him. In legal language, assault is not beating. It is basically verbal. The gesture that something more is coming in. For example, if I try to show the slap, I haven't used any force till now, but I'm showing this is assault. So when I'm trying to, if we take in our, right now in our own topic, A man trying to disrobe a woman, he has just put his hand towards her dupatta. This is assault.
Hmm.
And this is punishable. Let's take it. We do not have to wait for him to disrobe or to, let her touch her particularly. So even that one gesture of trying to put his hand on the dupatta also is assault. Right. So this is assault in legal language. Violence, if we take it violence, I would really take it in the word of criminal force, actually. So somewhere when I move my body physically to attack you, something that I take a pressure on you to attack you, I create that fear, that insult, or that annoyance in your mind. Something violence in a way, I'll tell you, if I'm trying to be too close to you, I'm not touching you, but I'm trying to be too close to you, I'm invading that private space of yours, that personal space of yours, that is somewhere, or I am trying to hurt you, hit you, I'm trying to forcefully put you in it, I'm trying to forcefully snatch you from one place to another, anything. That is what is criminal force, again punishable. Especially for the women, it is punishable differently in section 354. So even assault or criminal force, anything used against the women to in one purpose of outraging her modesty. So modesty, I'll go a little detail into modesty because our topic actually revolves around this particular word. Because when we go to the law, when we approach the courts, we really decide whether it was outraging the modesty or not. So modesty is very simply defined as a decency of behavior that a woman has. A woman cannot be as brash as a man, which we all know, है ना? And this modesty is not something which comes with age. As by the Honorable Supreme Court also, modesty is something which is by virtue. A woman is born with it. So if I say I try to criminally force put on a 2 months old girl also, that is outraging her modesty. So I don't have to be 14, 13, 12 years of age that somebody tries to put his hand on me. Oh, then he is outraging my modesty. No. If you're trying to put that kind of a thing on a 2 months, on a 1 day old girl also, that is also outraging because the girl itself by virtue is born with that kind of a thing. So that is there. Coming to harassment, we've already discussed the mental element of that fear that something is going to happen. And for this, that kind of a fear, that insult that a man is going to do, that is also covered in one of the specific sections we have in 509, where you're trying to insult that modesty of the women, and abuse. Abuse can be both physical and verbal. Physical is one where you're trying to talk nonsense, where you're trying to, talk about a woman, or you're passing those fleeting comments against the woman, or you're trying to whistle, or not many things. Of course, for them, we always take a broader aspect of stalking. Those are covered in stalking also. And that again, like I said, it can be covered in 509 also if you are putting any gestures to a woman, which shows that you are insulting that modesty of a woman. Even the mere gesture of, for example, whistling or showing some kind of a gestures which are very inappropriate. Those are also covered in IPC and those are punishable. Like I said, we don't have to wait a man to invade my body. The personal that kind of for my privacy is also a sexual harassment for me. Abuse, like I said, can be verbal and physical. So we take it in this way. So these are the differences between them. Harassment, though if it comes under one umbrella only. It is dealt differently when it comes to the legal aspect. That harassment, we take it in this. Assault and criminal force, we take in 354. If you're insulting or abusing a woman, we take it in 509. So that's how the different sections come into picture with different kind of punishments that is available to the women. So that is the basic differences of the four of them. I hope I could make it clear to you because they somehow make same sense to everybody. Harassment, we do interchange them as synonyms also. We using this or that. So, but there's a slight difference. So they all come under one umbrella only. They're just under one umbrella.
Sure. Yeah, I've just written it down. So next one would be, ma'am, what are the existing legal provisions for street sexual harassment?
Yes,
is there a separate act? No. Yeah,
no, they do not have any separate act. So I'll just go in a little details of all the sections that is available quickly. So that because I don't want the remembrance of the section, but just for the reference. So first 354, the genus of all sections we talk about, where you assault or you use the criminal force to outrage the modesty of a woman. So somewhere, any kind of like, veil of a woman, for example, the woman is in a veil, you try to open it, that is also outraging the modesty of a woman. Everything in short which is invading that personal space of a woman, whether physically or mentally or through any other space, is outraging the modesty. If you're showing any gestures, you're using any words, and you are doing it with an intention that the women has that annoyance, the women is listening to it, you're particularly putting it to a woman and she is taking it also, that is an insult to the modesty of a woman. That is covered under 509. Coming to those sections which have been newly added, those are 354A, where we've already talked about what is sexual harassment. The punishments for the first two are swear. Then the next two ones, as in when you're talking about those, you're doing that kind of unwanted sexual remarks to a woman, or you're trying to be giving her that kind of a gestures, or you are disrobing that woman, or you're showing that. So every part of these sexual harassment, these four sub clauses have their different punishments, staying at the severity of each of them. Because, sometimes showing the pornography against her will be dealt differently. Passing those sexual colored remarks will be dealt differently. So that's how it is dealt differently. The genus of this section comes when we talk about having those kind of songs or words. It's very amazing when, as an Indians, we are very habitual of, talking any foul language in public place. It's very common. In every state I hear, it's very common. Everyone have their own particular words. Trust me, it's punishable. It's punishable quite well if taken into action. And we always think that it's like a normal language, and everybody talks about it. No, it is punishable. It is annoyance to public. In public place, we are not supposed to intrude into any private person's, space. And if any person sitting in my restaurant is singing a lewd song or is talking in an abusive language, he is not doing it particular to me, but it is doing in public. It is a public annoyance act together. So that is also harassment in a way. They may not be covered under sexual harassment, but that is a harassment which I wanted to add because we should know that it is for other genders also, not just for women. We do have few sections for the gender neutrality also. Then coming to the disrobing a woman, when I said that if you're trying to put the veil or there is a Muslim woman, you're trying to unrobe her burqa or anything of that nature, that is also punishable. That also comes under sexual harassment. Voyeurism is that if a woman is in her own act, for example, bathing, or you're trying to invade that space of a woman, that is punishable. Again, that is punishable in two ways. If the first complaint goes, you are punishable in a different way. But if the second complaint goes, you are punishable differently and severely. So that's the difference. Stalking, we all know, people don't talk, people don't make advances, people don't touch you, but they definitely invade this mind, and which is more harassing. To be honest, in my own personal opinion, I always believe stalking should be at par of attempt to rape in any forms. That's my personal opinion. Why? Because trust me, invading your mental space is as torturing as invading your body. It is very difficult to watch those stares in those public places and just be quiet. Because there is no woman in the world, I can assure you, who doesn't understand what kind of a gesture is coming from the other side. We all could sense it in 1 second. I know how the man is looking at me and how the other man is looking at me. So that is something which is very easily available to a woman, probably a sixth sense that God has given us to fulfill that. But I'm glad 2013 made amendments. The legislature changed with the changing time, though it took long enough for them to wake up, but at least they woke up. At least stalking came into picture. At least these little offenses, which nobody was bothered, And as a society, unfortunately, Nikita, as a woman, I can also assure you, we are said, ignore it. That's how we are tend to bring it. Ignore it. It's not the time to ignore. If the legislature, the lawmakers have brought it, it must be serious in the country. And we should wake this to up. We should be waken up to this, that yes, it should be there. So according to me, these are the few sections that IPC has where various legal things have been discussed. So that's how it is. No specific one. We are still waiting and making a change.
Yep. Thank you so much, ma'am. This has been quite a detailed one, and it has been a trigger as well. But thank you so much for actually putting it out, because I myself didn't know about this. And I think if I would have known back then when it happened, I think I would have taken a step for sure. So I'm sure some of people who have joined also agree with me. And yeah, just thank you so much for stating this very clearly. So next, the most simple question and a follow-up question. What are my options if I want to file a complaint?
This is not a simple question, Nikita. I'll be very, this is the this is the biggest question according to me.
Yes,
For two reasons,
yes,
I'll tell you. The first reason is that awakening to your right. It's a big change, that I know my right. It's a big awakening. The bigger awakening comes when I know my remedies also. I know my right,
yes,
where to go, what to do. I know that, oh, this person is doing this must be illegal. But what am I supposed to do with it? I don't know. I simply don't know what am I supposed to do with this. So I think awakening to your right is a big change, but awakening to your remedies, which is available for the infringement of this right, is a bigger change. So for a women, I'm glad that there are a lot of changes that has come into a procedural law also, which has changed the perspective of filing the complaints and FIRs to us. I'll go in a little, smaller details for this. So when I go to the police station, to file my complaint, the complaint in legal language, if we call is first information report, that is usually called FIR, that we talk about it, right? FIR. So it's the complaint of, I don't want to use the word complaint, actually it is FIR only in the legal world. So when I go to FIR, file my FIR, register my FIR, as a woman, I have a right to giving it to male officer. Can you hear me?
yes. Now I can.
So I
Yeah. No.
was saying that when you go to register your FIR in the police station, you have the right to call for a women police officer. You are not
Okay.
supposed to give it to the male police officer. You have all the right to call for a women police officer. If the women police officer at that moment is not available in the police station, you can always call for any other women officer. May not be the police officer, but a women officer only. So you can call for that also. And sometimes, unfortunately, these incidences of sexual harassment, street sexual harassment also are traumatic for women. They are
Yes.
not very simple for the women to go and file the complaint in the police station. It's not easy to move to the police station. We have a remedy for the same also. The officer in charge of the police station will come to your house or the place that is convenient for you to take your statement. If you are temporary or permanently disabled at that moment, to not give, maybe in a traumatic situation, so he can always use a special educator or any interpreter to find and file that. If the police officer has come to your place or any place, those sorted by you, the same statement has to be registered before a magistrate as soon as possible. The magistrate, the nearby magistrate under whose jurisdiction that area comes into. So this is the first and the foremost thing that we need to do. Next coming up to is that, see, why is it important? Why is it important that uh, to move ahead and file the complaint and to do it? As a society, it is made of man and women both, I think. So if both are taking the responsibility of making it, I think women should really be awakening to their lives and should be taking the remedies also. Please don't sit at home. Please don't expect the law to come to you. You have to go and look for the law yourself. I am here providing you the law. All you need to do is take that action. Take that action and move ahead. Please do not sit in ignorance, because tomorrow you will have daughters, you will have granddaughters who would face the same situation. The change is not going to bring it in a one day. We have to make it work on it. Every day that has to come into us. Coming to the topic again, the copy of the FIR that so is given to the person that I have registered. The copy has to be given to me free of cost. And if the most important question comes, I go to the police station and the police refuses to file my FIR. He says, no, I'm not supposed to file your FIR for any reasons. For any reasons. Or you say that, that person was doing this to me. For example, I say the person has been stalking me from last 1 month, and police says, "Oh, it's such a not even a thing, madam. Go to your way. Let him go in his way." You know, if the police officer refuses to do this, he is infringing his own duty. He is not
Yes.
fulfilling the duty that is given to him, and it is punishable. It is punishable under section 166A of IPC with an imprisonment which will go from 6 months to 2 years. So if any case, if you are not filing that FIR, you are not fulfilling your duty which you are supposed to. The police officer doesn't have to go into details of asking, madam, when did it happen? What did you feel? No. When a woman has gone under rape or under 354, and luckily under those added sections of 354 A, B, C, D, the police officer has to file it. It is supposed to be there. One thing more I would like to add, when the police officer is going to your place to register your FIR or to take your statement, it has to be videographed. It is compulsory to be videographed, because then it is something which is like a evidence, you can say, or it is a way that the police has not misbehaved with you in any forms, or there is no hanky-panky, that has happened during that time. So these are the rights. And yes, as a victim, we always believe this, don't complain, you have to go on every day, the police will harass you, the courts will call you every day. No. The victim has only have to go to file her statement and during her FIR. She doesn't have to go on every date. It is the accused who has to come for every date. So it is harassment that we create for him now in the legal aspect of bringing him to court every day. Every time the date happens, he has to be in the court. So these are the few things that a woman should understand, that it's not that complicated. In fact, the rights are in your favor. So please don't hesitate to move to the law. So these are the things which have to be there.
Cool. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I'm just writing everything step by step. So yeah. So the next question is a little more specific to our campaign, and I thought it would make sense to add it in the middle. Our team was as well thinking. So this is, I'm sure, happened to a lot of women out there, and a lot of bystanders as well, maybe. So a mild touch sometimes is not acknowledged, considering it to be unintentional or unexpected act that occurred in a moving bus. So how does one understand this, and how does the system acknowledge it?
Yeah. So we've already discussed, when you are insulting that modesty of a woman by invading her private space. See, when you take it into a moving bus, so obviously when it is unintentional, the man is close to you, we believe it to be normal. But like I said, the woman has a sixth sense to work on. She understands if the person is coming close to her, is it because there's less of space, or is it because he's trying to be close to her? So there are two different things, So those mild touches, it's a very interesting story, Nikita. I'll share
Please,
that,
please.
we always believe the trivial acts, in legal aspects, we talk about the trivial acts. And anything that is trivial, we don't take into consideration. Like, for example, not in consideration as in legal aspects, we don't. In a general societal mindset, I'm talking about, that little thing happened, oh, isme kya hai? We don't need to bother about that, And there is a specific section for it in IPC, section 95, where he talks about those trivial acts. And the maker of, the drafter of our IPC, Sir T.B. Macaulay, I have a huge respect for him. He, in his draft, also mentioned this part, that I'm adding this section, so because we have those stratas of people who have that mindset of bringing even little things in you into action. Oh, this happened. Oh, he stole my Maggie. I'm going to run away to the police station. But those trivial acts are different from what trivial acts we are talking in this moment. Even in our procedural law, it is given in under section 157 of CRPC, where we talk that, if it is that little and the police thinks that, no, it is not the worth to go into investigation, they can drop that. But coming to the topic that we are talking today, this is the general aspect, those trivial acts. There is a very important case that happened. It happened in Punjab only. So there was a huge big party that was going on. And one of the very senior police officers and another co-colleague of his was standing there. In a general sense, he just patted her bum and he said, let's have dinner. She got annoyed. She said, that's not done. That's not how you're supposed to treat a woman, And she goes to the file an FIR. The police station people were so funny, they said, oh.
Okay.
Very aggressive. Till High Court. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Police station funny. That is where I missed you.
Yeah. So they refused to file the FIR. Thinking it to be a trivial act. Wow, what is there to be a trivial? Madam, he just told you to this way, let's go for a dinner. He didn't do it intentionally. He didn't do it with any kind of a thing. What is there to be done? It went till High Court, and High Court had the same opinion. Honorable High Court had the same opinion. When went to Honorable Supreme Court, they took this stand. They said any offense against the body of a woman is not trivial. It is not trivial. We will not take it to be trivial. If a man touches me here, it's not trivial. If a man tries to push me and says, let's go, it's not trivial. So anything that's evading my body, anything that's invading my space, anything, if he touches me this also, it's not trivial. So Honorable Supreme Court held it very beautifully, he said, any offense against the body of a woman is not trivial. We are not taking it trivial. So it's not something that, a woman says, okay, fine, so that, this was a little thing, a little part, a good party going on, a little incident happened. But that woman took the stand for herself. And Honorable Supreme Court was generous enough to do that. Yes, it is important. So those mild touches, Nikita, is not easy. They aren't trivial. They aren't easy for a woman to... See, tell me, how is it? If a person is standing next to me in my bus and is pushing me all through, is it nice? Is it easy for me to take it? Why should I allow him to touch me? It's me. It's my body. Why should I allow anybody to be a part of it? As long as I don't want it to be. If my kids come and hug me, that's my personal. I love doing that. But if somebody else comes and does that, it's very annoying. And I'm sorry, it's my life. I have Article 21, right to life. You're not supposed to touch me. So mild touches are not trivial, women. Please take it seriously. Please move to the court. Don't forget your remedies. Please move to court. Do not ignore these little things. Because these things, unfortunately, leads to the bigger incidences where we then get up. Then is when we open our eyes and say, oh, this happened. Stop it there and then. When those advances are coming, please stop it. Talk to your parents. Talk to the person around you. Tell them, take them in your confidence. Don't ignore. Don't be shy away with your family also. Take them in confidence. Mama, he's doing it. I'm not liking it. Papa, he's doing it. Please talk to them. It's very important. It's very, very, and as parents also, it's very important for us to take that step to the women, to the female girls, especially when they're moving out. Bache, if this is happening, come and talk to me. Yes. Talk to me. Because they won't understand mild touch. For them, it might be normal only. You don't come to know, So please, so always remember, women, when it comes to any offense against me, it's not trivial to me. It's definitely not trivial. So please.
Cool. That was a very good story. Yes. Next question, ma'am, is about the bus conductor at work. If a female bus conductor faces sexual harassment while she's at work, the bus is both for the street and a workplace for her. And in this case, what are the possible legal remedies in such overlaps?
Yes. I'll go first with the workplace part. Right.
Yes.
So I don't know how many of us, but there was this guidelines which came in 1997, Vishaka guidelines, right? And then we had another apparel and export case versus A.K. Chopra's case, call it A.K. Chopra or apparel's case also in the shorter way. So these two cases they reiterated the value of workplace, sexually harassed women at the workplace, right? Eventually, the legislation, of course, after 2012 incidents, took it as an act. And it came as a proper act of the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013. So the guidelines from 97 to 2000 were the ones which were given by Honorable Supreme Court in Vishaka's case. And that was mandatory for all the working organizations to follow. The act has gone a little ahead of it, which has included a lot many things. It has explained everything in detail as to what do you mean by working place. It includes units, organizations, private, public, every sector. Even while you're traveling to your workplace, that is also workplace according to it. What is the definition of employer? What is the definition of co-worker? Now coming to question that if a female conductor is sexually harassed in the bus. So this act would come into picture only if she's sexually harassed by the co-worker or the employer. Because it is in particular for that. So because Vishaka's guidelines came into picture for the working place. So outsiders are not coming and doing it. Your own immediate employers or your co-workers are doing so. So that comes when her co-worker is doing so. She has remedies available under it. Section 3 particularly of this act talks about it. If anything happens, she can take a remedy against it. But to be more specific, it is only when your employee or your co-worker is doing so. Second aspect, which is a little diverged one, but a good one. If this harassment, it hinders her work, if it is a public bus, if there's a public bus, and if she is a female conductor and somebody tries to assault her or use a criminal force against her, who's trying to harass her in a way which is causing hindrance to her work. So it will be treated as exactly as causing hindrance of a work of a government person, because she is representing the government at that time. So it can be taken under 353 and 186 also. That is one diverged aspect that I'm bringing in. So for example, the passenger tries to stop the area and he doesn't allow her to go. You're hindering her work. You're not allowing her. And she is right now what? She is representing the government as a public officer or a public servant. So that is there. Third, of course, the rest of them is available to her as a woman, which is available to the rest of the women. So, if she feels that it has been done by somebody else, any kind of, again, that's touching or unwanted advances towards her, or any gestures or lewd remarks or sexually colored remarks, she can always move as a normal female, any of those sections that we've already mentioned. So these are the three aspects that she can work on. They are not overlapping in a way, they're actually different. When it comes to workplace, I can go into that. But then at the same time, as a woman, it is also affecting me at 354. So I've always had this option. As a government person, he is trying to, end my work. I can do that also. So three aspects available. A little divergent I have given in this. So these are the availabilities. So that she can always take care of this. That's there.
Right. So I think we have a question which is related. And Samriti asks, ma'am, are there any policies for private buses?
See, like I said, that in the Vishakha's case only, Vishakha guidelines only, the private and the public sectors both are included.
Okay.
Both are included. The one I talked about is the government one. It's a diverged one. If you talk about the sexual harassment, we can stick on to the Sexual Harassment of Women at Workplace Act 2013 or the rest of the provision that is already given in the law. So the private buses is one of the units that is discussed under this one in the workplace area. It comes under workplace.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. So the next one would be, how inclusive are the legal provisions for street sexual harassment? Do they recognize transgenders, non-binary, queer people at all? Is there marginalization recognized by law?
Yeah. So I discussed in the beginning only, I said it's gender specific. Right.
Yes.
So it is gender specific. It is only for women when it comes to IPC. Indian Penal Code of 1860 only talks about any of the sexual offences against women only, not against transgender or non-binary. But we have a Transgender Persons Protection of Rights Act 2019, which has just come up. Section 18 talks about that if there is any physical or sexual abuse against such people, the same shall be punishable with an imprisonment of 6 months, which can go up to 2 years. So this is one of the legal aspect that is given to. Now coming to the actual picture of it. If we look at IPC, Nikita, we have punishments ranging from 3 years to death penalty.
Yes.
In rape cases, it has come to death also. It has not death, I can say, actually life imprisonment, which would lead to till the time you're dead. That kind of a thing. It has come 3 years to 2 years to from that. Here, maximum you're giving is 2 years. You are not extended. So this is one of the aspects that has to be seen, according to me, it's my personal opinion, if you take it. And there was this case also that was filed, a petition was filed in 2020 in the Honorable Supreme Court, where Supreme Court also took it that when we have given it to be the third gender, when Supreme Court has already mentioned it to be the third gender, the forms are available, they, as a right of equality under Article 14 of the Constitution, have the same right when they're of remedy, when their right is infringed. When a female right is infringed or a man's right is infringed, we have the same provisions, of course, not for the sexual harassment cases I'm talking. Why? Because we talk about right to equality. When the third gender is coming. Where is right to equality going? Why are you not making it that sphere in this also? So this is one aspect I think this act lacks in, where it has to be brought in at par according to me to IPC, where it should be little more, because we know if the women had been on the receiving end, so have such people been. So has the
Yes.
third gender happened. And their battle has been the longest of all to bring that aspect into it. Unfortunately, IPC has not made any amendment till date, which the Honorable Supreme Court had mentioned that why it has not done so, why third gender has not been added into it. The case has been discussed by Honorable, our previous retired Chief Justice of India, that why it is not. It had asked Center to make the provisions, make the changes, make the legislature about it. So we are hoping that, with the timing, at least there was a relief that they were recognized, their infringements were recognized, their rights were recognized, and if there is any kind of invasion of that physical or sexual abuses is done to them, at least it is somewhere punishable now after 2019. A little relief, I would say, but a long way to go. Some relief is
Yes.
there,
Yes.
but a long way to go. So IPC as of for now is not providing us with anything, Nikita. But do we have a separate app? And to be honest, why we always believe that IPC should have it? Because the effect that IPC has, those acts won't have. Though they are specific acts, they will always be overpowering it. But then that IPC effect is always very important to bring that change in the society. So that is still
Right.
awaited. Let's see if this happens, and maybe we are going to have it in the coming timings, hopefully. So that's there.
Yeah. Yeah. Hima says, don't know how many centuries would it take for the courts to acknowledge that gender is a spectrum.
I would really
Yes.
like to make a change here. The
Please,
courts
please,
have
please.
the courts have actually acknowledged. See, courts are not, we really need to understand as a layman. Courts, honorable courts, do not make law. Law making provisions is not with the courts; it is with the legislature. We can only interpret those laws made by the legislatures. See, if you are providing me with a book, an IPC book in my hand, I am bound by that IPC. I'm bound by those 511 sections that is in front of me. I cannot go beyond that. I can tell you that, oh, this is illegal or this is unconstitutional. This is not something, or this is, has needs a change. This needs, for example, we have come up with 377. Certain provision, I won't say 377 is struck down. Certain provisions of 377 section has been struck down. We've all seen and read in those newspapers. So courts are not lawmakers. That's not the job of the judiciary. And if judiciary would be doing that, that will be overpowering the job of legislature. See, the country we live in, three pillars are divided with their own jobs. Executives have their own, legislature has its own,
Legislature,
judiciary has it.
judiciary.
So
Yes.
law making is not the work of the honorable courts, it's only the interpretation. So we have acknowledged, it's time the legislature acknowledges it. Because there's
Yes.
so many laws that, we have, the honorable courts have made it unconstitutional. They're still lying in the books. It hasn't been over. So it's there. So it's something we need to understand, because we always come to the
Yes.
question, courts are not doing it. Courts are doing it. We have limited things to do. We are doing that.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much for making it clear. So, yeah. So the next question is towards men. So, what about street sexual harassment some young men face from other men? What are their provisions?
Yeah. Again, gender biased or gender specific, I can say so. But
Absolutely.
if we talk about young men, I'll go with two things. I'll come for Prevention of Children from Sexual Harassment Act, which is called POCSO, which is very common, right? That is a gender neutral act. So any
Yes.
kind of sexual harassment that is happening to a kid, to a child, and who is a child? A child below the age of 18 years. So whether it is a boy or whether it is a girl, any kind of sexual harassment that a child is facing who is below the age of 18, it is punishable with an imprisonment of 3 years and a fine. And if the sexual harassment extends to it, it can be from 3 years, minimum 3 years to 5 years. So section 11 and 12 of this act and section 7 of this act. 7 is a little stringent, which says minimum 3 years, maximum 5 years of punishment is there. So this is one of the, because again, like I said, we come up in a society of patriarchy where we believe, oh, men are never at the receive. They are. And we have come across so many of them, So many of
Yes.
them. And you know what, Nikita? The sad aspect of the life is a man is not supposed to speak about it also. If a woman
Yep.
is stopped for the reputation, a man is stopped being a man. Oh, come on.
Yep.
What are you talking? That doesn't happen to a man. It does happen to a man. Men are equally there. Kids are exploited irrespective of their gender. So POXO is is a helping hand to the kids who are below the age of 18 who are doing it. Right? IPC do not acknowledge any of this. I'm sorry. We do not have any of this. Yes. One thing I would like to mention here is sometimes we happen to have, that what if a woman is insulting a man?
Okay.
There are cases, where the
Yes.
woman is insulting a man also. है ना ये तो है नहीं the ban is always. So if, for example, a woman spit
Yes.
on a man on the public place, what will? Then we have section 355. It is gender neutral. It doesn't talk especially about the women. If any dishonoring of a person is there, the word is used as person is there, that is punishable separately. It is just out of the track that I'm talking. It is not for young men. I'm generally speaking, I should be talking a little more about men also because they are unaware. So, but they do have a right. They do also have it. But for young men, we only have POXO. We do not have anything provisions in the IPC. Of course, against the child. है ना? Because see, when we talk about rape cases also, that is again against a female child. If you talk about less than 7 years, less than 12 years, less than 18 years, it's all talking about women. है ना? Otherwise, any of the acts or any of this is a particular act, POXO. I think we should be really, when anything of this sort happens, we should have that quick redressal to this act. In not wasting time, not doing it, please have a quick redressal. Don't tell your boys to keep shut. They are the ones who are going to change the society, because if you're bringing that kind of a knowledge in the house, the man going out will respect the women first. The man will not be at the receiving, the young kid, the boy, will not be at the receiving end also. So that sharing of parent and a child is very important in these aspects, I feel. And of course, school plays a very important role. Your education systems plays a very important role. They should be there. Because, unless when you're not changing the mindset of a man, the society is not changed, for sure. We are not supposed to change everything, but we need to change that basic thought process of the man. So yes, POXO is there for the kids, but nothing else we have in IPC. Sorry.
Okay. But what about young men above 18, ma'am? Is there anything for them?
Like I said, IPC is not there. IPC
Okay.
doesn't cover.
Right.
Not way of kind of there is not there.
Okay.
Unnatural may, if you talk about it, is an unnatural. When we talk about it, that,
Yes.
for example, but then it leads to a little more of it, not touching or something, I would say, but intruding your body without your permission is still punishable in 377. With consent,
Okay.
same gender with consent has been scrapped under 377 by the Honorable Supreme Court. But if it is against my will, even today, for men above 18 also, Nikita, if it is against my will, I always have 377. That's always there. That's unnatural offense, kind of a sexual advancements towards. That's there.
Right.
Above 18, if we talk about it, that's there.
Okay. So, ma'am, next question. You have answered everything, but is there anything if you want to add? Just go ahead. I'll just ask the question, however,
No,
just
please
in
go
case
ahead
if
with
you
the
want to add anything. Yeah.
Go ahead with
So,
the
what are my rights as an accused individual?
So coming to victim, we've already discussed, but an accused, I'm sure we should know the other story also, other side of the story also. Just begin with this answer of this question, I would say the procedural law, the CRPC, Criminal Code of Procedure that we have in our, according to which the criminal justice system works, the procedural laid down. It is made with the viewpoint of accused. It is not made with the viewpoint of victim. So every step of your trial, the rights are given to the accused. He has the right to be quiet. He has the right to not speak. He has right to accept his, offense that he has committed. The admission can be, the confession can be there. He has all this. So please remember, the procedural aspect of our criminal justice system is written with the viewpoint of accused and not the victim. The victimology came way after a very long time. Now, in last couple of years, we've seen a little changes which has come with the victimology. Victimology, as in the compensations are given to victims. Victims have a right to appeal. Earlier, only state could appeal. Now, victims can also appeal. So, those are things. Coming to the exact rights of the accused, he says that first, I should be aware that why am I being arrested? You can't just pick me up and throw me in the jail. Sorry. It's against my human right. It's against my fundamental right, which is very important to understand. It is invasion of my Article 21. So you are not supposed to pick me up from any place and throw it in the jail. Okay, fine, we are doing it. No. You're supposed to tell me why am I being arrested. Secondly, a memo has to be prepared as to what are the charges which is against me. Why have you arrested? What is it? A copy of that complaint or an FIR that you are doing so should be there. Right. The second aspect of this memo is that it should be signed by me. As an accused, I should also be signing that. Anything that has recovered from me at that moment, for example, except my clothes, any cell phones, anything, the memo of that has to be prepared. Exact number of money from my wallet, a pen has been recovered, a cell phone of this model has been recovered. The memo of that has to be prepared also. Right? These are the actual procedural aspects which we are not aware. We always believe, oh, this is not there, this is there. Please make sure that, God forbid, if something like this happens, that you have to go there. So you should know what is exact procedure. The most important aspect of an accused is that he has the right to call up one of his near and dear one from the family or friends to know where is he, which police station he is in, and why he has been arrested. These are again, Nikita, some of the amendments that is made in section 41 of CRPC, ABCD clauses that we have in section 41 of CRPC, 1973. Right. And I have the choice, I have the right to have an advocate of my own choice. You know, I can ask for any of the advocate. If I cannot pay for the advocate, under Article 21 of the Constitution, I have a right to free legal aid. I can go to the court and says, I cannot pay for the court will make sure that I have an advocate to defend.
Right.
You know? Because my right to life also includes my right to defend myself. I'm not sure the FIR lodged by the women is correct or not. I can't be, we are in that habit, oh, women have done so. Hey, I'm sure the men must be bad. I'm sure. But please remember, we are not here as a normal lame persons or even the police. They are not here to give the judgment. That is the work of the honorable courts. They are applying their judicious mind. Please let them rest with them. Let them answer the questions. Let them see the evidences before them. Please do not bring with your judgment. So a man, if involved in this, is not, he must have done it. We always say he must have. No, please.
Yes.
Let him defend himself. He has a right to defend himself. And the most important one, the moment you arrest me, within next 24 hours, I'm supposed to be produced before the nearest magistrate. If you fail to do so, the arrest itself is vitiated. It's gone. I move to the court and you're gone as a police man. So you're supposed to, this is my biggest right as an accused. I'm supposed to be presented before the magistrate within 24 hours of my arrest. Further, the process goes whether the magistrate wants to, if he thinks, yes, right now they need the, police remand, they would give, or they can ask for judicial custody, or if it is bailable, the bail can be given there and then. That is another process that triggers. So accused has many rights. Please do not say that accused do not have any rights. They have many rights. And like I said, it is something which is, the procedure is absolutely written, taking into consideration the accused only. So that is also there. See, this why we would say that procedure is made according to accused for the misuse of, to stop that misuse of law. One, you have already moved an FIR against the person. Secondly, the moment you go, you become guilty. So where the man goes. So this is the only reason why the procedural law is absolutely in favor of the accused. And one more thing, Anikita, I wanted to add when we were talking about the rights of the complainant. See, if the policeman is not writing and nothing is happening, we can always move to the magistrate also. Under section 156 of CRPC, you can move to the magistrate. The magistrate can direct the police officer to file an FIR. That is also one of the aspects I wanted to discuss there, but then overlapping happened and I didn't do. So that's also one there. So yes, we have too many rights for accused, don't worry. You're also saved in that ways.
Yes, yes, ma'am. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Just, yeah. So, this is a very classic case, and this question can give birth to a lot of examples, I'm sure. So, very prominent one happening out there. So, if one files a case against a high-profiled man and they file a defamation as a response to the accusation, how must the survivor handle this case?
Yes. See, I know high-profile cases. We, like you said, we've all seen, and we've seen those agitations, reopening of the cases. I don't have to go into details of those ones.
Yep.
I'll be just mentioning one line, Nikita, in this. Nobody's above law. When it comes to law, nobody is above law. See, the working of the hierarchies might be, depressing, might be saddening, but trust me, justice is given. I can, if you have ample judgments on this side, I have ample
Hmm.
judgments on that side also. Right. So I would always believe there is nobody above law. There is nobody who can say, oh, this doesn't happen. No, this happens. If you are wrong, you have to bear with me. You have to bear with the law. You are answerable to the law. You have to take that punishment which is there. The justice may take time, but it is given. And I can quote ample of judgments to you. I know we say justice delayed is justice denied, but I'm sorry, the procedure is like that. You miss on one procedure, the accused will be at the receiving end. I'm telling you with my own personal experience, you missed on one thing from the procedural aspect, whether it is in the civil matter or the criminal matter, the accused will be at the receiving end. There are cases where we've seen actually accused being unnecessarily harassed and done nothing. So, isliye I would say that nobody is above law. Please bring this out of your mind that if you're going against a high profile, if he is that high profile, he shouldn't be going on with this nonsense. If you're doing that nonsense, please accept the punishment that will be coming your way. Secondly, coming to the defamation. See,
Hmm.
defamation, you have to understand the aspect that it can be verbal, it can be written. Right? It can be any ways that we do it. Verbally also I'm talking, but if it is truth, it is not defamation. That case of I will not say that, oh, he cannot file the case of defamation. We can file anything we want. We are in a free country. Democracy works
Yep.
for everyone. So I can file as a counter blast any case against you. Any case against you. But where will it survive? Will it survive? No. Why? I'll tell you. If I have taken that truth, this is the first exception of 499 of IPC, which defines defamation. If it is the true facts, if it is the true findings, if there is truth in what I'm saying, it is not defamation. So, like I said, this way everybody will be filed in defamation. Oh, she is putting when I have to. Why high profile only? Why not other simple people? Everybody has a right of filing defamation. Why only high profile? There are other cases also we can see that way. But if it is the truth, it won't survive. Second thing which defamation cases, which is very, very important that we need to understand is, have I filed whatever I'm saying? For example, I say XYZ has tried to harass me.
Hmm.
That XYZ goes to the court and files defamation. When I go and fight the defamation case, I tell him that I have done whatever I've done, whatever I've spoken, whatever FIR I've lodged, it is in good faith. I haven't done anything in bad faith. That has to be proved in defamation. Now I come to word of good faith. In normal language, good faith is, oh, my intentions were good. No. In criminal
Yes.
aspects, when we talk about it, good faith is not your intentions. Criminal law
Hmm.
is not interested with your intentions. You've done the act,
Not
you've
at all.
done the act. Right.
Yep.
What is good faith for us? Good faith, as per section 52 of IPC talks about, it is due care and caution. Have I taken that due care and caution? Have I? Is it Mr. XYZ who was talking about me or ABC? What is that? Have I taken that caution? Yes, I have. It was XYZ only. The defamation case goes away. So see, counter blasts can be for a lot of cases, not just for defamation. There are other aspects of legal aspects also where you can file. So for example, I file a case against a person. The person files a counter claim against me saying that she
Hmm.
has filed a case or she's threatening me to file a case to extract money from me. That's also in the provisions we have in IPC. So what? So this is the counter blast cases. So see, there are counter cases to it. But then how much survival those cases will have depends upon how much truth are you talking about in your own case. That is what is going to make a difference. So that is the answer. Like defamation can work, but how long will it sustain? How long will it do? And nobody is above law, so please don't think these in your mind. Don't go for that. Yeah. So that is.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. We have just 3 to 4 more questions.
Yes.
We'll be on till 6:30. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Great, ma'am. So the next is what happens if there are no witnesses to a claim of street sexual harassment?
Yeah. So this always again happens. Who will back my case? Nobody's going to back
Yes.
your case. You have to back your own case. Your mere statement of saying that I have been harassed is more than enough. The FIR, like I stated earlier, has to be lodged. The investigation on that FIR is the duty of the police that they have to follow up. So you are not going to say your mere statement, your FIR, that yes, I have been harassed is more than enough. Now coming to the little swear cases. For example, there is a case of rape. I'll come just a little reference of rape cases. We have a provision of section 114A in Indian Evidence Act, which clearly states that if a woman has stated that she has been raped against her consent, that's it. She doesn't have to prove it. She just has to show it. She just has to say it that, I have been raped. But that is only confined to 376. There are welcoming states which have welcomed section 354, 354A, B, C, D, those states like Chhattisgarh. So in states like Chhattisgarh, they say that if a woman has stated that, I have been sexually harassed, I have been stalked, I have been disrobed, or I have been, my modesty had been outraged, that's it. The court take this presumption that she is saying correct. Now the accused has to rebut it. It is on the accused to rebut it. But till date, as per us, it's only Chhattisgarh state which has added 354. We would like other states to also follow up with this because, like I said, 354 is not a small section. Please don't take it it's a normal one. Stalking is as difficult as those stairs are as difficult as any rape. I'm sorry to say, but this is the truth. Every day I'm going to my workplace in a private bus or in a public bus, and there's this man who's coming every day staring at me, making those gestures. Where is my peace, So yes, we have it for rape till now, I would say. But yes, we have states who are welcoming those also. But even if it is not your state, please, your FIR is more than enough also. Please go file it. And the police will take action on it. They have to. So that's there.
Okay. Cool, ma'am. Yeah. The next would be sometimes survivor's recollection of assault is confused and patchy. She may not be able to remember all parts of it, but she does remember some. Like you said, they can stand for themselves. But in such cases, what is the way forward if one wants to pursue the case legally?
See, Nikita, you don't have to give the encyclopedia first. We don't have to make. I boarded the bus at 8:45, and then I sat on the left side of seat number 52. Second, I would really, really appreciate on the fact that if it is happening, please report it immediately. The sooner, the better. Because your memory is fresh. There is things that is happening in front of you. There is something that is recollection of all the incidences. See, delay in any of the case will be a benefit to the accused. I'm giving you the procedural aspect. If there is delay, I'm just talking about delay. I'm not yet coming up to the patchy memory of the women. If there is a delay, the accused gets the benefit. Why has she delayed it? Why has she not moved to the court? Why she has not done it? So it is very important to record the statement of the girl at the earliest, and if possible, please get yourself that statement registered before the nearest honorable magistrate under section 164 of CRPC. If you think that there are chances that things can turn ugly or something, the police can always make that. That is the provision given to us. It's not one which way, but we usually do it in 354. Like I said, if it has been taken at home, then he has to come to the magistrate for the statement within. Why magistrate? It becomes a substantive piece of evidence. It is something because anything said before and I'm talking in form of the accused. Anything said before if an accused is speaking in front of the police, that is not admissible in law. That's not admissible
Right.
in law at all. So please, for that patchy memory work to go away, please do file your complaints at the earliest. Like I said, we wait. We wait things to
Yep.
get ugly and then we don't remember how it happened, how it started, how it is there. And that is fatal to your trial only. That is fatal to your own cases also. If you have any
Hmm.
patchy memories, that doesn't mean that you do not have the right. Your remedy or
Hmm.
right is not extinguished. It is still there.
Hmm.
And you can still move to the court. You can still give those incidents which you remember. You can still
Right.
talk to the police that yes, he has been, and that is again the job of the police to investigate to the accused. So
Okay.
your remedy doesn't die, your right doesn't die, that is still there, but it is always advisable to move immediately. Don't wait for things to get ugly. Don't wait for those patchy memories to, grow in your mind and you forget, oh, what happened? How did it start? No. Whereas I always believe in this one that when it's happened, you do remember. But if you believe that it has been there, please move. That is what we say. Now, take the action immediately. Don't bring out these loopholes, which is going to be fatal to your own trial. See, you've taken it today or you're taking it after a year. After a year, you forget. And it becomes a benefit the person you want to be behind the bars. Then what's the point? Take him to court right now. What are you waiting for? So I would always believe, please take a quick action. That would be an appropriate answer to this question. Please take it in a very quick way. It is available.
Right.
Legislature is not leaving you with any law which is not answered. Trust me, we have ample number of laws. It's how we apply in our lives, how we really apply that. It makes a difference. So please move to the court immediately. Is would be my appropriate answer to this question. Yes.
Yeah. I had a follow-up question as well, ma'am, and also
Yes.
Hima has posted it. What is the upper time limit of time as to when a victim can report? Is there a window of time as such? Something
See,
in precise?
we do not usually have limitation law applicable to criminal. We believe crime
Okay.
once is a crime. Civil limitation time applies usually to the civil laws. So criminal law has one section in the procedural ones where they have given a little limitation of the time period in 494, but that's not something fatal. If, for example, a murder happened, let's assume it,
Hmm.
after 12 years the case came up. It's still a murder. You can't get away with that murder. The limitation period is usually in civil cases that we bother. Yes, of course, like I said, you have to
Okay.
explain your delay. Filing, Nikita, filing of
Yep.
an FIR, if it is, delayed by 1 day also, you have to prove that 1 day also. Why did you not file the FIR immediately? Each day which is delayed has to be proved, has to be answered in court. See, because court cannot sit with his shut eyes that, oh, after 5 years you got up and you realize, oh, this person must have harassed me 5 years back. Now I'm getting up and doing it. Sorry, the court. See, if you sleep over your rights, the court will sleep over you also. The court
Got it.
only answers who are diligent, not reluctant.
Okay.
We only believe that you should be diligent for your own remedies. If you are reluctant, we are reluctant with you as well. Obviously, there's no upper limit emission, but yes, you have to be quick in doing so.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Diligent and not reluctant. Noted. Cool.
Yes, not you have to be
Alright.
diligent, not reluctant.
Yes. Yeah. So, last second question, ma'am. We have seen cases of several judgments that were highly misogynistic. And how can the survivor escape the ingrained patriarchy of the legal system? And what is your take on this as a female advocate?
Yes. So, I'll begin the answer to the question with one of the lines that my mentor used to say always, He always said that people believe in judicial system. People definitely believe in the judicial system. I pick up a fight on street with somebody. I would, when the fight gets over, what I will say, I'll see you in the court. I'll drag you to the court. I never say I'll see you in the police station. I'll drag you to the police station. I've never said that. So these lines of sir has always been in my head, People believe in judicial system, Nikita. Even today when I see my own clients coming to us, they always believe justice hoga na, insaf hoga na. They always have this question and we assure them hoga. It will be given to them because this is their right. This is what the judicial system is working on. Coming to the judgments which are saddening sometimes, which are disturbing sometimes. See, I'll be very honest, when any law like I said, I have given an IPC book. I can't go beyond IPC. My hands will be tied there. I can give you in equity, but my hands will be tied for law. One thing. Second, when the judicious mind of a judge is used, when he's applying or she is applying her judicious mind in deciding a case, when evidences is put before the honorable judge, the judge looks around the evidences, they see, oh, this is correct, this is wrong, this is that. That happens, the judicious, at the end of the day, it's a human mind. Human being is only sitting there. That is the reason we have the hierarchy of appeals, revisions, and reviews. Like I said, that little trivial act till the Honorable High Court was considered to be trivial. But the Honorable Supreme Court did not consider it to be trivial. So please believe in your judicial systems. We have beautiful hierarchy. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar has done a tremendous job in making the Constitution. He's given everything that we needed in our systems right now. It's just the application that has to be done. The execution has to be done. So if you believe why we have this, see, if I don't agree, as a victim also, for example, the punishment is up to 7 years in one of the cases, let's assume it, and the judge only gives it for 3 years. I as a victim believe no, it has to be given for 7 years. I have the right of appeal. The accused if believe, oh, I shouldn't be given 3 years and not 7 years. He has very much a right of appeal. The first right of appeal is to every accused. He is supposed to have that right of appeal with him, according to CRPC. So I always believe people have that belief in judicial system. See, when any of the good judgment comes, how beautifully we applaud and welcome that judgment. How much we assure that the country's judicial system is not affected by it. They are independent. They work independently. They do not get affected by anything. When the honorable judge is sitting there, he is neither gender biased, nor politically biased, nor religiously biased. He's just a judge. That is why the law lady always has her eyes tied, with that blindfold on her eyes, because she doesn't want to see. She just hears. What you give her, she's hearing it. So please, if you believe that there is some judgments which is saddening, there is some judgment that is not there, we always have the forums of appeals in our higher courts, which is taken care. So I always believe that I as a person, as a female advocate, I strongly believe in my judicial system. As a fraternity, as representing my own fraternity, I do respect and believe that my judicial system works very well. So yes, that's there.
Okay. So, ma'am, there is a question in the chat window. I think I'll just club both of them. What if the honorable, I mean, you've answered definitely, but I just want to know your take on what is his question. So what if the honorable judges give a biased judgment? And continuous question would be, what if we don't have a privilege to respond to the crime immediately? These are two questions.
See, privilege of responding, I completely understand, that societal thing is there, and that is why there. See, in such cases, whoever has asked this question, if there is a little delay, the courts have taken this opinion. There are ample number of judgments we have from the Honorable Supreme Court where the defense counsels have taken this point, that why there was a delay of filing the FIR for like 5 days or 10 days or 15 days. See, the Honorable Supreme Court very beautifully has explained, India is a very conservative country. The society that we live in is still conservative. Women are not open about all these things even today. So a bit of delay, a bit of that, because she's preparing herself to come out of it. She's preparing herself to come out of the trauma. So if you do not have that kind of an opportunity of approaching immediately, it's fine. Your remedy is not gone anywhere. You can still approach it. The courts completely understand in what kind of see, it's not very easy for an Indian woman to come out and say, oh, that man sexually harassed me. I'm sorry, as a women lawyer, I would have kept quiet for a lot of times. Honestly, I'm giving you my, there are times when even I have kept quiet. I have ignored it. No, it's not what. But when I look at the aspect, when I had my own daughters, when I look at around the women, I felt, no, I shouldn't be quiet. So that if you do not have it, it's fine. We as a legal fraternity understand this fact that it's not easy for a woman to come out of that shell and speak about something like this in a country like ours. So it's fine. Please do not get into pressure that it happened today and evening I have to report. I can't go. If it is tomorrow, it's gone. No, it's not gone. It's still there with you. So please take it. But yes, like I said, take it at the earliest in a way. And the second question, Nikita, I'm sorry, I forgot. What was it?
Yeah. No problem, ma'am. Let me just.
If it gives
What
a biased
if we do?
opinion. Biased opinion.
Yeah, right. Biased opinion. Yes.
Biased opinion. See, biased opinion, like I said, a judge will be using his judicious mind. Right. So if it's biased, we have an option of appeal. We definitely have. So there again, you can put up your things. Again, you can bring. So see, for me, it is A plus B. For you, it might be B plus C. So you might be thinking, oh no, the victim is correct in this one. Accused is doing wrong. Or for me, no, accused is fine, victim is wrong. See, again, it is a human mind, which varies.
Yeah.
So that is the reason we have this forum or hierarchy of appeals that is available to us in procedure. So biased opinion can be taken care in the procedure. That's not something कि एक बार का verdict है and it's all sorted. No, we have the options of appeals. That's there.
All right. Yep. So last question, ma'am. In the context of street sexual harassment, how does the law deal with cases of manipulated consent? Are there ways to identify these indicators? And what are the legal remedies?
Yes. So to the last question, I would just say an act against my will is not my act.
Right.
Any act which is not in, I haven't said for it, is not my act. Right. So you have said a manipulated consent. I would just differentiate between consent and will. See, Nikita, consent is of my conscious mind. I might consent for a lot of things, but my will, it belongs to the deepest sense of my mind. There are things that I consent for, but there are things which I'm not willing to consent for. I'll give you a little example, secretary, for example, gives a sexual favor to the boss to get the promotion. She's consenting, but she's not willing. So there's a difference between both of them. So when rape laws come into picture, it is clearly written that it was neither my will nor my consent. That is, neither my conscious mind nor the deepest level of my mind was willing that that man should touch me. That is in the rape laws. So manipulated consent, see, when consent is there, everything is lost. If I consented, everything is lost. There is nothing that is there. Unfortunately, the sections we were discussing earlier, 354 ABCD, there is no word written consent there, which should have been mentioned according to me, because it is without my consent. Because if it is it's nowhere in consent, that means if I'm consenting to some pictures of mine, for example, to be circulated, so that means I'm consenting, the person has not done. If I'm not consenting, it's not there. So it is not that, manipulation is not there. Like I said, the court is sitting there to see if the victim has been pressurized for the consent. Is the victim has been, duped with any lucrative motives for those sexual favors which she was giving in pretext of something. For example, 376, let's take it, rape. The man says on the pretext of marriage, I will marry you. He has a sexual intercourse with the women. He has committed rape because he is trying to allure the woman with any kind of a thing which he is not fulfilling later on. So even that manipulated consent, the courts are sitting there to check on those things. So my will, my consent, both things have to be taken into consideration, especially in your rape laws. When it comes to sexual harassment, my consent does matter. If I have, like I said, an act against my will is not my act. So it's not there. If it is manipulated, the courts are sitting there. You can always make a statement that it was done with the manipulation of such kind of allurements that was given. See, even in the workplace, the Sexual Harassment Act, which has come up after the Vishaka guidelines, it clearly states that, that if an employer is asking for any sexual favor, so that any promotion or any other things will be given at the workplace, this is exploitation. This is harassment.
Got it.
So this manipulated consent is taken care. This is where the judicious minds comes into picture. This is where the court sit down and understand the fact that no, the victim had been manipulated. The victim did not want to decrypt the consent, but at that moment, the women thought it is going to happen, which man from the first beginning did not had any intention to fulfill. I am asking for some sexual favors from you in the pretext that, oh, I would do this to you. I, as a woman, believe that he would do. Later, he refuses. But the man never had an intention of doing that from the beginning. So this is manipulated consent. This is very much taken care in the IPC also. This is very much taken care in the evidences also. This is the what I have to base my case on. So that is there. So I think if you tell in rape cases, so especially, I did not consented, I did not had a will. It's more than enough. You don't have to do anything
Cool.
else. You don't have to go beyond that. So, your manipulated consents are definitely taken care. The courts
Right.
can see and judge, where the woman is under pressure or where she thought. You can always move in a trial also that, yes, the man promised me to do that. He eventually was never intending to do it. So that's how, manipulative consents are taken care in the legal remedies, legal aspect.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's it, ma'am. You have given so much information that I have actually written down 4 pages of it. Thank you so
Wasn't
much.
that
No, it's fine. I'm really sorry that I was not looking at you and
No.
typing.
No.
So
In fact, Nikita, I would like
yes,
to add, we always believe ours is a
please.
country where women is not safe and where women is not there. I would really like to, bring a very good news to all of us that IPC, Indian Penal Code, is the first ever penal code which had recognized rape as a separate offense. Till that, no country had ever, no penal code had ever created rape as a separate offense. So we should be really happy that we have a good laws available to us. Please don't think that laws are not available to us. We always, the moment something happens, we always start criticizing the laws. Law nahi kiya, law is not doing it. Please, we have to understand that it works from grassroots level. The first
Right.
and foremost step has to be by you. You set motion the criminal justice system. Your FIR set motions that criminal justice system. The investigation at the police level has to be fair. The things have to be worked on that. Then it comes to magistrate, then the sessions, then the high court, then the honorable Supreme Court, and that's how it works. So please, you have good laws. We all are well with good laws. Lawmakers have not left any stone unturned to protect us. It's just that how much we take into consideration is up to us. So I really want to say that please don't think ours is the first country who has made rape as a separate law way back in 1860. So it's quite a good thing we have done. So please, if anything, I hope that nothing happens. Women are as safe as they are at home. Please bring that change in your boys' thinking also. When a no is done by a woman, it is a no. Do not advance. Women don't like it. Ha me na is not ha me. Na me ha, sorry, is not na me ha. It is na only. Please do not do such things. It's not. It's seriously something which ashames a woman sometime of her own self.
Yes. Yes,
Please, I
absolutely.
request the parents of the boys to please bring that change in your upbringing. Where you believe that respect of every woman is their responsibility.
Yep.
Very important. So that's all the answers. I hope I could do justice to the questions that you've been put up by
Absolutely.
you. I could do
Yes,
that.
ma'am. Very
Yes.
much, ma'am. I am just trying to invite the team who's organized this session. That is Hima, the
Hi,
petition
ma'am.
starter.
Hello.
That is Kaumudi, our wonderful
Hi.
coach. And we are the ones who frame these questions. And Hima and Kaumudi and our team members, Jaina, Samriti, Savitri, have been fighting for this campaign since January. I have joined just recently, a month ago. And they are the reason behind these wonderful questions. And yeah, thank you
I really
so
want to
much for.
applaud for the questions because when I was we were discussing Nikita and me also that when I was reading through the questions and when I was reading through this topic also, I could actually see there's so much to talk about it. There's so much to understand about it. We take it in a very little things. But when I started
Yes.
working on it, there was a variation of acts which were coming. There's a variation of connotations which were coming from all other sections. So thank you so much for putting up these each and every aspect of this topic has been put up so beautifully by all of you. I really appreciate that the campaign that you're working on, and I really hope that with this campaign we bring that change together in the system whichever we are looking for. So thank you so much for the opportunity also. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. It was a brilliant session and we got to know things we never even imagined existed.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for your time. It was a great
Thank
session.
you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. It was really,
Thank
really
you.
nice hearing you.
It's mutual. I think it's mutual. You know, if you are thanking me, I have all the reasons to thank the team also for giving this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And for the people who are there in our live, our petition is in the bio, Insta bio. Please go sign and share it to everyone you know. Just go follow us on Baslo Bharosa. And Anjali ma'am, we'll be in touch with you. I'm definitely going to need your help. And
Anytime.
I hope our campaign and our support, we reach out to a lot of people. We need a lot of support. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm going to end this live now. Audience, thank you so much for joining in and making this as engaging as possible. Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.